Well, hello everyone. In this video, I am gonna demonstrate a very similar case for the skill exam of the course CIST 117. The actual skill exam is going to look a little bit simpler than the one that you see right now. I do have two networks, the one surrounded with this red shape and this other network surrounded with this black shape here. And both of those two networks are connected with a router, as you can see here. I got a gigabit Ethernet cable in this port in this direction, and another one in this direction. I got switches, and I got two computers. Now, what I'm going to be doing, I'm going to complete those tables here. And then after that, I am going to go through the requirements that I have here. So you can see here, I got a lot of tables to be filled in this exam. Network A, Network B, Network A, Network B for Ipv6, Ipv4. And then after that, I am going to go and try to complete all these requirements here to the network, and we'll see how things are going to go. So the first thing I'm going to do here, and let me just get my tools ready. Where is it? Come on, here it is. I do have those two networks. I do have two scenarios that I'm going to cover. We got Ipv6 and I got Ipv4. Ipv6, as I said, is going to be really easy comparing to Ipv4, but let's go ahead and start with Ipv4. I don't have any information in this area here. So let's see what are the requirements for the Ipv4. Oh, wait a minute. I need to change the IP address. I totally forgot to do that. So I'll just come here and make this one 200. And I'll make this 122. And this is AB 200 DP ACAD 0. No changes applied here, so we'll keep it as it is. Okay, so let's start with this case here. I'm going to copy those, and I'm going to go and open Paint. And I'm going to use Paint to answer the Ipv4 section question. So let me just put this part here. And here's my scenario. So I'm supposed to subnet the IP address 192.168.200 with a prefix of 22 into two networks. The first network will hold 30 devices, and the second one will hold 10 devices. So I have the number of devices here. So the idea here, and I'm going to get the calculation done in this area, and then I'm going to move the numbers to the tables. So let's start here with networking A. Since I need 30 devices, the first thing I have to do is to put this IP address and work with it and try to find out where's the line that's going to separate the network portion from the host portion. To do that, since this is 22, I know for sure the subnet mask is going to be 255.255.something.0. And because I know that the fact that this is my subnet mask, this is the part where I'm not sure how much, what is the number here, because I don't have 255. I need to do some calculation to figure that out. What I can do is I'm pretty sure that 192 and 168, no change is going to be applied here. We're going to be basically playing in this area here, which in this case I have 200 here in binary, and I need to figure out how much is the binary here, and I got zeros here, and I got 0 here. So let me just move down here a little bit, and let's start thinking about, since this is 22, and I got here 255, 255, those together are 16. So that basically means the rest is going to be basically 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. And then since those are 6, you continue with 2 zeros because we know we have 8 bits here. And I'll put 8 zeros here. And here it is. So this is the part covered for the subnet mask. Because of this is 22, that basically means since I have 16 bits of ones here for this 255, so I'm going to be, the remaining are going to be basically 17, 17, 18, 19, 20, and wait a minute, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, yep. Now let's go back to my original IP address. I got 200 here. Now 200 in binary, I am just going to go and use a calculator because I don't want to waste more time. We'll go to programmer. Let's choose 200. And let's go to binary. And here it is. This is the binary presentation of that number. So let's go ahead and write that number. It's basically 1, 1, 0, 0, and then 1, and then 3 zeros. 1, 2, 3. And then this one is going to be basically 8 zeros. Okay. So this is my first step in the process of the calculation. Now we said one of the first things that we have to figure out is to draw the line that's going to separate the host portion from the network portion. Now this line basically is going to be this part here. Okay, we said we're going to be using the subnet mask to find out that line, and then here is the line. So this is the line that I have here. This is basically going to be the host portion. This is going to be the, sorry, I flipped it. This is going to be the network portion. This is going to be the host portion. Okay. Now, once I know this fact, I need to ask myself the following question. How many bits do I have to keep? This is extremely important. How many bits do I have to keep in the host portion to be able to get 30? Now we know for sure that the equation that we're going to use is 2 to the power of that number minus 2 should be greater, wait a minute, should be greater or less, should be greater or equal 30, which is the number of devices here. So we're going to start our tries here. So this is going to be 1. I know 1 is not enough, 2 is not enough, 3 is not enough. 4 is not enough, 5 is going to be enough because 2 to the power of 5 is 32. 32 minus 30 is 32 minus 2 is 30. So yes, 5 bits. That's the number of bits that I need to keep to be able to get 30 devices. And then since that's the case, I know for sure I will have a new line now, and that new line is going to be basically here. Okay, so this is a case that we have not covered before. But again, not a big of a different. So I'm going to keep those 5 bits here, and I will have actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bits to create networks at. So I got all these devices here, sorry, all these zeros here, all these bits here to create a number of networks. I don't care about that number of networks, how many of them I care. I just care about that I do have those 5 bits that I'm going to be using to create a network that can hold 30 devices. Now, with that being said, that basically is telling me that I can have all the way 32 different networks. So remember here, let me just fix this. Now this is going to be the host section. And all these 5 bits are going to be borrowed and added to the network section. Now what we need to do here after this is to choose one out of those 32 different networks that we can have. We said since I have 5 bits left here to be borrowed, I can create out of those 5 bits 32 different networks. I don't care about the 32 different networks. I just care about one of them right now. So just to show you what do I mean by that, I'm just going to focus on this area here. This could be 0.0, sorry, there's another 0 here, 0, 0. This could be 0.0.001. This could be 0.0.010, and it could be 0.0.11, and you keep going all the way till you get 11.111. If you count all the possibilities, you'll get 32. Okay, now what I'm going to do, I'm going to choose the first one for network A, and then I'm going to choose the second one for network B. Of course, I'm going to be doing something for the second one, but I know for sure now I'm going to use the first one for network A, and then for network B, I'm going to use the second one, but I'm going to process it further more. Now, with that being said, we can now come and put some information about network 1. And I'm going to do it here. So for network 1, the IP address is going to be 192.168.200. No change is going to be applied here. Again, remember, because I'm adding those lines here, so no change is applied here. And since I'm not changing here as well, those is 3 zeros, so it's still going to be 0. But here, the prefix is going to be a lot different because it was 22, and now I'm adding 5 to that, so it's going to be 27. Because if you count now, I'm adding those 5 bits here, so this was 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27. So that's my first network A. Now, of course, a lot of from this point, I can do a lot of calculations, but for now, I'm just going to stop at this point because this is all I need for now. Now, let's go ahead and talk about the second network. Now, what I need to do for the second network is, and let me just take this part away. And let me just put here, this is the host, this is the network, and this is the our borrowed. Now, since I'm using 0 for the first one, I can use 1 for the second network IP address. So for the second IP address, my new IP address is going to be as following: 192.168.200 dot, and let's look here. This by itself, it's basically 32. 32/27. 128.64.32. Okay. And here it is. So this here is basically my second network. But this is not exactly my second network because I need to subnet it furthermore. And because of that, let me just come here and try to fix what's fixable. So I am going to use a little bit of space in this area here. And let me just try to run it here. I'm just going to come here. This is my new network. It's going to be 11111. Let's keep going here. How many one of those we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6, 0, 0. Oh, sorry, not 0, 0. It's going to be 1.1.111. And then we got 5 zeros. 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. Now remember, this is a subnet. This is coming from this 27, not this 27 to be specific, from this 27. Now the IP address itself is going to be 200, which is basically 1100110, and then 2 zeros, and then 2 zeros, and then 1, and then 5 zeros. What did I just did here? This is the 27 prefix, and this here is the 200.32. I'm just putting them in binary. So I'll just take this away. Of course, I took one of those zeros away. And I do now, already, I had my line in this area here. This is my line. That separates the network portion from the host portion. Now what I can do, I can now delete this one because that goes to the previous one. And let me just cut this part and put it at the top so I can have everything next to each other. Okay, now let's go ahead and do the same exact thing. How many bits do I have to keep from the host portion so I can get 10 devices? And the answer for that is going to be 4, because 2 to the power of 4 is 12, is 16. 16 minus 2 is 14, and I'm looking for 10. And that basically means I can actually keep 4 bits, and I'll be fine. So that will leave me to have 1 bit to actually give to the network portion. Okay, since I can give only 1 bit to the network portion, that basically means this could be 0 or could be 1. And what I'm going to be doing, basically, I'm going to use the first one, which is 0. So based on that, this is what's going to happen. The network IP address for the second one, which is B, is going to be 192.168.200, and this is going to be 32. Remember here, if you convert this thing into a binary, it's going to be 32. especially that I'm not changing this one. But this is not going to be 27 anymore. It's going to be 28 because I am actually borrowing 1 bit here. So here it is. This is A and this is B. And all I have to do now is to take that and put it in my table. So let me just move to the table right now. I'm just going to put those numbers on those tables. So the IP address for network A is 192.168.200.0/27. And for the second network, B is going to be 32, but this is going to be /28. So I got the first, but this is the most important part actually. I got this part covered. Now I need to go ahead and do all these calculations, and then after that I will go back to this table and fill this table. Okay, so now we're going to start completing this table here. I'm going to copy those requirements. I'm going to go back to the paint, and I'm going to post them here. For each one of those networks, we're going to have to go and complete all these requirements. Now, the first thing is we already got the IP address done. So for network A, this is the IP address. Now, if the subnet, since this is 27 basically it's 255.255.255. That's 24. So 25, 26, 27, and then you got 4 5 zeros. So what is this number here? Again, I am just going to go ahead immediately and use the calculator. So I'm going to come here, clear it. So we're talking about 3 zeros, 1, 2, 3. Oh, wait a minute. And then 5 zeros. Now put in decimals, this is 224. Okay, so we know that's the subnet mask. 224. So 255, 255, 255, 224. The prefix, I already got it, 27. The first available IP address. Well, the first available IP address is basically you come here and change this one to be 1. The last available IP address. Well, for the last available IP address, we need to look at the IP address, and I think if I go with the broadcast, it's going to be a lot easier before I get to the last IP address. So let's talk about the broadcast. This is my IP address here. It's 27, so I know for sure my last bit to the my last octal to the left is going to be all zeros here. This is 0, so I got all those zeros. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now we know the prefix is 27, so 25, 26, 27. This is the line that separates the network portion from the host portion. And then we just said for the broadcast, you're going to have to flip all these zeros to 1. So I'll get 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. This here is 31, I know for sure. So the broadcast is going to be basically 31. This 0 is going to be replaced to 31. That will give me the broadcast, which basically means the last available IP address is going to be 30. So I got 1, 30, 31, 27, 224. The default gateway. Now we, again, I need to tell you which one of them to choose, but usually, the first one we use as a default gateway. So the first available IP address, I'm going to use it as the default gateway. Then the number of devices I can have, we already did the calculation. We said it's 2 to the power of 5 minus 2, and that basically means 30 devices. So I completed the calculation for the first network. Let's go ahead and put the data in the table. Subnet mask 255.255.255.224. The prefix, I already have it here, so I can take that away and put it here, 27. The first available IP address, let me copy this, put it here, and just change that to 1. And since I know this is the default gateway that I'm going to use, I can go ahead and put this one as well. The broadcast, we said this is going to be 31, and for the last available IP address is going to be 30. And then after that, the number of devices is going to be 30. Now let's move on to the next network. So let me copy all the information that I have here. Before I do that, I know for sure this. Let me cut it, put it here as a prefix. And I know this is going to be 255.255.255. Now, the last octal of this 255 previously was 27. The prefix now is 28. So this was 224. Let's just go ahead straight into do it in binary. I'm just going to go click on binary here. And so I'm going to have 4 zeros and then 4 ones and 4 zeros. Now if I go back to decimal, this is 240. So I know for sure this is going to be 240. 240. Now the first available IP address and the number of devices. Let's go ahead and do the calculations down there in the paint. Sorry, I'm going to copy this. And let me go to the paint. Let me create a new page. And I'm just going to paste it here. And let me extend the view. And go back here, click here, and let's do it. Okay, so the first available IP address. Remember here, the first available IP address is going to be whatever you have here plus 1. So it's going to be 33. And let me just put it, Go back. So the first available IP address is going to be 33. That's for sure. I'm going to use the same thing for the default gateway. So I got that thing covered as well. So now I have this part and this part and this part to be figured. Now for the number of devices, since I do have 4 bits left for the host, so it's 2 to the power of 4 minus 2, and that's 16, then that's 14. So I'm going to get 14 different devices here. Now let's go ahead and talk about the last in the broadcast. This is the part where I have to go and actually draw and type the last bit here. This is 32. Now I know for sure this is 32 is basically 0, 0, 1, 0, and then I got 4 zeros here. Now we know that the line that's going to separate the network portion from the host portion here is this part. So it's going to be the host, this is going to be the network. Remember here, this line is coming from the fact that I have 28 bits as a prefix. So for the broadcast, all I have to do is flip all these zeros to ones. And if you do that, you will get 15 plus 32. This is by itself 32. You add those together, you get 15. So the results of all of this is going to be 83, I believe. No, not 83, sorry. Well, I haven't had my breakfast yet. Simple math I can do. So this is 8. Oh, wait a minute. Where's this 23 coming from? This is 32. So this is 7, and this is 4. 47. Yeah, that makes more sense. So the broadcast is going to be 47, which basically means the last is going to be 46. So there we are. I got those covered. Remember, the first available IP is 33. I'll get that part covered. This is 14. This is 46 and 47. Let's go back to the table. So the first available IP address, let me copy this. This one is going to be 33. The default gateway is going to be 33 for that network. And now this is going to be 14. We said this is going to be 46. And this is going to be 47. That's the broadcast IP address. Now that I have all these information figured out using IPv4, I need to go and complete this table here. So let's look at router 1. Actually, before I do this table, I need to actually build a table. So let me go to, I need to build a network. So let me go ahead and create the packet tracing network. Let's create a network. So I'll use this router here. I'll use this switch here, and I'll use a switch here. And then I'll use a computer here, and I'll use another computer here. And let's get them connected. I'm going to go with a straight, so fast Ethernet, choose the first one. choose the first one, Fast Ethernet. And then after that, I'll just go to the bottom, Gigabit Ethernet. I'll go with G0 here, and then Gigabit Ethernet, and I'll choose the last one here. So this is 0, this is 1, this is router 1. Now 0 is connected to network A, and 1 is connected to network 2 or B. So let's go back to the table, and based on that, we'll fill the table. So here it is. G0 is connected to network A, and the IP address is the default gateway. So I'm going to copy the default gateway from here. I'm going to put it here. And for the other network, the default gateway is going to be the 33, and it's going to be connected to the other network. Now, what is the subnet mask here? Well, here it is. That's the subnet mask for A. And this is the subnet mask for B. And I think I remember it's 240. Now, there is no default gateways for a router, so none. And here, none. Okay, so for the switch, VLAN 1, I didn't decide. Those subnet masks are going to be the same, so I can copy them here. And I can copy those two here as well. But for those, I haven't decided which IP address I'm going to use. So for the VLANs, I'm just going to use this, the last one, for example, for those VLANs. So the last one in network A is 30. Yep, that's the 30. So I'm going to put it here. And for the VLAN for switch, the other one here, that will be the 6046. And then for the networking, for PC zeros, I'm assuming PC zero is connected to network A. I'm just going to take this and change the 0 to be 1. The 1 to be 10. And I'll do the same thing here for the other network IP address, which is this part. You have to choose a value for this PC1, which is connected to this network, but more than 33 and less than 64. So I can go with 40. That will totally work. Okay, now the default gateway for each one of them, it's important to know that here it is. For switch 0, which is connected to network A, the default gateway is going to be the router that's connected to it. Same thing here for those two devices. And here I am actually completing this table for IPv4. Now for IPv6, there is not that much actually to do. I'm going to just go ahead and do it here. The original IP address 6 is this one. Let me just copy it, and I'm just going to put it here. For network A, I am just going to come here at this point, put another column here, and come here and put A. This is how simple it is. So I'm going to copy that, and I'm going to put it here. Prefix, no change is going to be applied. It's going to be 64. Default gateway, okay. I'm going to leave the default gateway. I can choose a default gateway that I want. I'm going to go and use the link local. So it's going to be FE00.1. I think that's the link local. And I'll do the same thing for this device. I believe it's FE::1. It has to be ::1. Forgot that. That would be the default gateway. And I am going to copy those three, put them here, and change this one to be B instead of A. And I'm using the same link local. Oops, where is this? Uh-oh. Okay, so here we go. I covered. Do you see IPv6? That's it. I just got it done right now. What do I have here? Okay, so for those devices, what will you be using to assign to those devices? Well, now, here's one thing you should know. We do have a lot of choices here to work with, and I am just going to go ahead and use the first available IP address as the default gateway here. So I'll just put this as 1. And for the second, well, let me just extend this one. I'm going to put B here. and I'm going to use the first one. Okay. Now for PC0 and PC1, you need to know that we have two options. I can let the device has a default, sorry, an auto configured IPv6 from the router sent to it. That's a possibility, but I'm going to actually give it one. So I'm just going to put here 10, and for the other one, I'm going to put this as B, and I'm going to put 10 here. Now those two, there's no default gateways, so I know for sure I can copy that, put it here. And for this one, now the default gateway for PC0 and PC1, I mainly can use this one as a default gateway, but also I can use the link local, which is recommended to use a link local. So I'm going to go and get and use a link local as a default gateway. Remember here, you have two choices. You can use this IP address, or you can use the link local that we're going to generate. So here it is, me completing the table. And now after that, I need to go and configure all these devices. Now what I'm going to be doing, I'm going to go and start with the IP address assignments. Just IP address assignments. That's what I want to get covered at the beginning. And then after that, I will go with all these points that you see here. So I'm going to move my table on the side. This is important to have on the side. And so let me take this away. And I'm going to go one by one and configure all these devices. And then after that, I'm going to go back to the table to see what else I can do. We're going to have to configure the passwords and everything. So first thing first, we go to the router. You go to the CLI here. Nope. Let's see here. Can I increase the font size here? I'm going to try to do that really, really fast. Windows, nope. Where's the preference? Edit, option, preference. Font, the router OSI, black. Okay, I'm talking about the font here. CLI. Let's make it 12. Apply. Come on. Now let's go back here, and now it's big. Okay, so let's go ahead and set those IP addresses. So we know we have G00, we have G01, there's an IPv4, and there's IPv6. So let's go ahead and do it one by one. So enable, configure, terminal. Okay, so what do we do? Interface G00. And now, here's what I'm going to do. I am going to type description. Let me start with that. And I'll say network A. This is optional. We just can give a network description. That's not what I'm concerned about. I'm concerned about IPv4, IP address. There's no need to specify it. And the IP address for G01 is 192.168. I'm looking at the table and I'm putting those numbers. 200, 0, and the subnet mask 255.255.255.224. Bad mask? Oh, what do you mean by bad mask? Why is that a bad mask? No. Yeah. Again. Is it because of the 200? No. It should work. Let me try again. IP address. Oh, that's new. So no shut down. And let's see here. This is maybe just a warning. Yep, it's working. Don't worry about it. So I got the IP address version 4 done. Let me go to the second interface. So G01. And then we're going to go to the network description. We'll put B here. And then IPv4. And instead of this one is going to be 33, and then this is going to be 240. And then no shutdown, and I'm done with that. Right after that, let's go back to the first network and try to get the IPv6 done. So I'm going to go back to G00, and I'm going to type Ipv6 address, and we said the IP address is going to be 2000 DP8 colon ACAD A colon 1 /64. And I will do the following: Ipv6 address FE0, you can put it in lowercase, FE00 colon 1 link local. Invalid. Let me try to remember. What am I missing here? Link locals. I kind of knew that there's something incorrect about my assumption. Let me just check really fast. The number. Oh, yep, I remember. There's an 8 I missed. So let me just put an 8 here. I knew it that I missed something here when I was typing it. So this should be okay. And now it's working. Of course, I don't have to type no shutdown because I already did that. So this is again for the first for the gigabit 00. So let me exit, and I'll go back to 01, and I'll go back to IPv6. I can do the link local, same thing. That will work. And let me just go ahead and do the. This is going to be B. And I'm done with the IP addresses for both ends in that router. Now, before I continue, we said by default IPv6 is it's disabled in routers. So what you need to do, you need to enable it. So use this type unicast. Let me try to see IP route. Try to remember. IPv6 unicast routing. Yep. So this is how I enable it. I can exit now, and then I am done. Now let me close this window, and you can see here everything looks okay. So I got the IP address here configured. Let's go ahead and do the IP address configured at the PC0 here. PC0, which is this the IP address that we have from the table. So I'm just going to go ahead and copy that. Go to desktop. So here it is. This is IPv6. The subnet mask is going to be 224. And then the default gateway is going to be 1. And I got this part covered. Now for the IPv6, as I said, I can go automatically or I can do it myself. Now this part is the link local. I don't need it actually, so I'm just going to go ahead and use the IP address from the table for that device. So I'm going to put this here, and this is this is supposed to be 10, and this is going to be 64. And then the default gateway, I need to use the link local. I need to go and fix the table actually because I forgot to do that. This is supposed to be 8, not 0. So I'm going to do it right now. This is 8. This is 8, not 0. And let me just make sure that I got it all covered. Okay, so I got the first computer. Let's go ahead and do the same thing for the second computer, desktop. This here, oops, Control X. Let's put it here as 8. And for the actual IP address, this is going to be 10, and this is going to be 64. And for the IPv4, We said we're going to use 40. Again, all this information I'm getting from the table that I created. There's going to be 240. And then the default gateway is going to be 33. So I put that here. Just to make sure that I got everything right, I'm going to put the mouse here. Come on, show me here. So, oh, wait a minute. Look at this. Gigabit 01 is not configured. The IPv6 worked, but it's not configured. Okay. Let's go ahead and try that again. Router configure terminal. And I will just go interface G00. You know what? Let me just go and show exit. Show running. Show IP interface brief. Oh, so it doesn't have an IPv4. Okay, let's see why is that. Interface. So sorry, configure terminal. Interface G00 IP address 192.168.200.0 then 255.255.255.224. Okay, bad mask for 20. That's the problem that we're having here. I'm going to have to pause this video to figure out why is it acting that way. So I'll be back in a sec. Okay, so I was able to figure out what's the problem. It's just a little bit stupid, but again, I didn't have my breakfast, I didn't have my coffee yet. Let me show you the problem. This here is the IP address for G00. You see here 192.168.200.1. Let me tell you what I've been using. I've been using 200.0. That's why it's a bad IP address. So let me go ahead and fix that. Just go ahead and type this to be 1 and you'll be good. You see, this is basically what types of problems that could happen. So now that I got this one figured out, I believe everything should be okay here. Let me just put the mouse here again. And here we go. Voila. Okay, so I got the IP address here. I got the IP address here. I think I got the IP address here. Now it's time to work on those switches. Again, I'm just figuring those IP addresses. I'm going to check after that the connectivity between them just to make sure that no problems with the IP addresses. And then I'm going to go to all these passwords and stuff. So I'll go ahead here to the switch. I am going to come here and type enter. Now enable, configure terminal, interface VLAN 1, and I'll say IP address 192.168.200 dot, and I'm just looking at my table. I use 30, and then 255.255.255.224, and then no shut down. And now I can exit. And then here I need to set up the default gateway for the router. So IP default gateway. The IP address default gateway that I'm going to use, which is the 192.168.200.1, which is the default from the router. And then I'm done with the switch 1. Now if I put the mouse here, you will see that it's connected to port 01, which is up, and it's connected to gigabyte 01. Oh, did I make a mistake here? Oh, sorry, 01. Yes, there's no 00. There's 01, 02. I forgot that. I need to go and fix that in the table. It's up, and the VLAN is up as well. Let's go ahead and do that here. So CLI. So enable, configure terminal, interface VLAN 1, IP address 192.168.200 dot. What was the VLAN for switch 1? It was 46, sorry. And then the default subnet mask is 255.255.255.240. Then no shutdown. Then you go exit, and then you type IP default gateway 192.168.200.33. And then exit, and I'm done. Okay, so if I can ping this device all the way to this device and this device all the way to this device, that basically means any devices between them will be pingable, if that's a word. So let's go ahead and try that. So I'm going to ping the other computer, which is 192.168.200, and the IP address of the other device is 40. Please work. And yellow. Yep, here it is. So it worked. Let's try again. No problems. Let's try to do the opposite, going from that computer and ping the other computer. So ping 192.168.200. I think that was 10. Yes, it was 10. And here we go. So I can tell now that I completely got the IP addresses done. Am I done with the whole thing? Nope. I still have a lot to work on. So let me stop at this point. And let me go and look at the requirements, the other requirements in this. We do have a long list of these requirements. Now, this is something I'm not going to do. It says here, erase the startup configuration and the VLANs from the router and the switches. Now, the reason why I'm not going to do this, I was supposed to do this before I start configuring, because now if I go and do this, all of the work that I did will be gone. So when you're going to be doing the exam, you're going to be doing this before you go and move into the IP addresses. But just to let you know, the command that we're going to have to type to get this done are following. Let me just type them here. I'm going to come here and type erase startup configure. Okay, you're going to have to go to each one of those switches and routers and start with this line. This line basically will erase the startup configuration. So just in case you already saved your work from a previous, even though this is not the case here because we haven't done anything, but just in case there's like a previous configuration, you just want to start fresh, typing erase startup configuration. That will basically go to the default values. Now after you type that, you have to follow that with reload, so you can get the new startup configuration or new operating system loaded. And you do the same thing for the switch, and you do the same thing for the router. That's very important. And then after that, very, very important, you need to delete the VLAN. That's what he wants you to do. Now, deleting the VLANs, this is something we're going to cover in networking too. But just to know how do you delete a VLAN from a flash, you just type delete del VLAN .date. So those are your three commands. Those three commands, we usually do them whenever we start fresh with a device. There's a device, somebody been playing with that device, changed a lot of settings. What do you want? You want to go back to the default settings. So what do? This is the delete VLAN is going to be only applied to the switches. And for the routers, you're going to have to erase the startup and reload. So this is basically those three commands. We'll cover this part here. Now, after the switch is reloaded, you want you to change the SDM template to one that supports Ipv6 necessary and reload the switch again. Okay, so what does that mean? Well, SDM, we didn't have a chance to talk about it that much. But I'm just going to give you an idea about what is the SDM. The SDM, your device basically could be configured to dedicate the resources of the device into different directions. For example, I can make my router or my switch basically works more efficiently when it comes to doing specific jobs more than other jobs. You decide which task you think should get more attention. So with the SDM, it basically give you that feature. Now, in reality, since we didn't talk about that, you don't have to worry about it. So I'll just give you the 2 points out of it. But usually, if you want to see your SDM, just type show SDM prefer. Now, again, this is the reason why I don't like it in this exam is he decides to talk about it here. This is going to be something that's going to be covered in networking 2, not networking 1. But yet, it's here. What's important is those operations. Now, those 2 lines or 2 groups of instructions are basically something you're going to be doing the moment you turn your device on. Before you start configuring anything, you have to go through all these commands. Now, what I'm going to be doing, I'm going to be going through all these devices. Now, the first thing we're going to do, we're going to have to disable the DNS lookup. We're going to change the router name. We're going to apply a domain name. And then we are going to do the passwords and everything related to the passwords. And let's see here. This is all about router. And then I think we're going to have to repeat the same thing for the switches after that. So let's go ahead and start with the router. Again, I'm going to look at those list of commands and I'm going to answer them one by one. And let's see what's going to happen. So I'm going to take this on my other screen. And let's see here. So this is my router. Let's go ahead, exit, and exit. So we're starting from fresh. The first thing he wants us to do is to disable the DNS lookup. Now, what is a DNS lookup? We said every time your device is trying to get connected to a server, your device is going to look into a DNS service, try to convert websites into IP addresses. I want to disable that feature. I don't want my device to think about that or dedicate any resources for something like that. So this is what we do. You have to be in your configuration mode. So enable configuration terminal, and you're going to have to type this command: no IP domain look up. And this is me disabling the lookup. Now after that, we want to change the name of the router to be R1. So host name R1. And then after that, we want to set a domain name. And to set a domain name, we're going to have to type the following: IP domain name. And then you can call it whatever you want. In the exam, you'll be asked to use something specifically. I'm going to go with kccc.cist117.edu. That's the domain name for my device. Now, what else do I want to do? I want to enable a password. So it says here, create encrypted privilege password. So I believe that's the part where you're going to have to, since it's encrypted, you're going to have to type enable secret, and then you have to put a password. Now, you'll be giving the password. I'm just going to go with Cisco for simplicity. Console password, that's the console. So what we're going to do for that is we're going to have to go to line console 0, and then here you type password, and we're just going to go with class, and then remember you have to go with login, and then I'm done. Now I made a mistake. The order of those commands are not actually right because he's asking me right now to set a minimum length for the password. Now I already created those passwords, and then it makes more sense. I'm just following the order of these points. It makes more sense to set the minimum length before you actually start creating those passwords. But again, if you just want to know what will be the command for that, it's basically the following. So it's going to be security password, and then mini dash length, and you can put the number. I'm gonna go with minimum 5 since I'm having 5 there, but again, you can put 10 if you want. If you put 10 here, that basically means if you're gonna try to change those passwords, they have to be minimum length of 10. For simplicity, I'm just gonna go with 5. Okay, now with that been said and done, I'm just going to keep going. Create administrator used for a local database. Now those are one of the things that we really didn't have a chance to talk about, and it wasn't covered. I'll be honest. I've never seen them in the Net Academy, but we need to create a username. And okay, I see what's going on. If you want to have access, here's the thing. I'm just going to talk about this. Create administrative user in a local database. What does that mean? It means basically, if somebody will try to have access to this router remotely, you need to create some information. You need to create some information that's necessary for someone to be able to have access to it. I'm going to test those later, but for now, this is what we're going to type. We're going to have to type, create a username, and I'm going to call it admin, for example. And then password, let me try to remember, how do we do that? Username, admin, has to be followed with the password. Let me see here. If I can go back here, password. Yep. And then you give it a password. So since I'm using Cisco in class, I will go CIST117. And here it is. So there will be a username for administrator to have access to your device, and the password is going to be CIST. And remember, those usernames, this username and password, have nothing to do with moving from one mode to the other. This is just for the remote access. And I'm going to show you some examples about that later when we get to that point. So we'll just remember that the username is admin and the password for that case is CIST117. I'm trying to show you again an example of that. Now I'm going to keep going. I need to put the banner. So we'll go ahead and do that. Banner, message of the day, and what is it? Stay out. Okay, we got that part done. The Vtys. Okay, we need to do the Vtys. How do we do the Vtys? Let's see here. Set login V2I lines to use local database. Okay, and set the V2 lines to use except the SSH. We'll go one by one. So first one, how do we set the V2Is? We need to actually give them a username and a password. So line VTY 0 to 4. And then I will say password. We'll just go and use, what did we use with the line? So class. And then log in. Now that I'm done with that part, let me see. What do I do here after that? So I set the local database, set the V2Is to accept SSH connection. There's one part that I need to, while I'm here, let me just type this. Input transport. No. Transport input. SSH. Yep, that's the command. Now, what does that command means? The transport input SSH. By default, whenever you want to have access to your device remotely using those VTY lines, the method used to do that is telnet, and we talked about that before. So he is asking me to change that to be SSH instead of telnet. So that's what I'm doing here. And then I'm going to have to type login again. And I'm done with that part. So this is me. To be able to have access to this device remotely, you're going to have to, first of all, have those username and password created. You need to have a password for those V2Is lines, because that's basically what you're going to be using. And then after that, you are going to have to change the transport input to be an SSH. Now, remember here, by default, it's telnet, and now I'm trying to change it to telnet. The last step that I have to do here for those V2Is to work, I need to generate an RSA key, the encryption key here. To do that, let me try to remember here. The command for that is, no, not encryption. Oh, let me try to remember here. Yep, this part I always forget about it. Let me just go back to my resources a little bit. This is the part where I just need the first command. I think generate, that's the first word that you have to type. Crypt. Here it is. Crypto key. Now imagine I have no idea what to type after that, which is generate. RSA. Let's see what else after that. General key, I think after that you type. Then command module, okay. Then a command, and then after that you have to put the number, and the number that we're going to use, which is 1024, and here it is. So I was able to do that. Now again, my biggest problem at this point was remembering the starting command, which is crypto. And I know it's crypto key, and then after that I have to go through those series of question marks to tell me. Now, since I've done it before, I know the right command. So it's crypto key generate RSA general keys, and then after that you type modules, and then you type the number. So I can tell now that I got all the V2Y part covered. Now the other part that I have to go through is let me just go and have a look. So I was able to enable IPv6 routing. I did that. Configure the interface G00. I did that. G01. I did that. Generate the RSA key. I did that. Display a summary of the IPv interface. Well, that's easy. Let's just go ahead and do that. So I go exit. Show IP interface brief. And here it is. And then if I want to do for IPv6, just change this to be IPv6. And now you have IPv6 information. Layer 2 mapping addresses in R1. Let me see here. What do we mean by that? IPv4 routing table. Show IP route. And here it is. So those are the IP routing table that I have. You can see I'm connected to networks. One of them is 200, 230. Yep, that's correct. Same thing I can do for IPv6. Here it is. It's asking me to show the mapping addresses. Let me see, where can I find this mapping addresses? I think it's we talked about that before. DNP, Discovery Network Protocol. Okay, so let me just do my research a little bit. I just want to remember that. So packet tracer discover neighbors. What is the command? Yeah, CDP. Okay, so show CDP. Sending every 60 second. Sending holding time value 100 seconds. Okay. Let me just put a question mark here. Neighbors. And here we go. Show CDP neighbors. And you can see here I'm connected to a switch. I'm connected to another switch. This switch is G00 and this one G01. Capability and then the platform. This is the name of that switch, and it's connected to G01. G01. What is that? G01. Oh, each one of them is connected to G01. Yes. So you can see here that shows me the mapping. Those are the devices that my router is connected to. Now, with that being said, I can tell that I am completely done with router 1. Now, I can copy running to startup. Are you sure? Yes. And I'm done with the switch. Now, all I have to do is mostly repeat everything I did here with the switch 1 and the switch 2. So I am going to go ahead and I'm going to try to rely on my memory on how do I get all of that done. And so on. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing here for switch 1. So first of all, enable, configure, terminal. And I'm going to change the host name to switch 1. I'm going to change the banner message of the day. Stay out. I'm going to set password, so enable. Oh, I forgot something actually. Here, I didn't encrypt the passwords. So let me just go ahead and do that. Configure, terminal, service, password, encryption, and now I have to actually save it after that. And just to make sure that everything is okay, show running configuration. You can see here, this is the host name, this is the secret password, this is the minimum length, the password is encrypted, the username, administrative password, no IP domain lookup. This is the domain name, KCKCCIST. And here it is, this is G01, network A. This is the IP address, auto duplex speed auto. This is the Ipv6 default link local and IP address. Same thing here for the other one. And then after that, interface VLAN. I didn't set up the VLAN for the router. Here it is, stay out, the banner. Console, this is the password login, this is the AOX, we didn't do anything to that, and there's the Vtys with everything there. Let me try to do the switches again. So I changed the switch name, I changed the banner. Let's go ahead and put some passwords. Enable, secret, and I will just go with Cisco. And then after that, I will go to the line interface. I don't think there is a need for me to repeat everything, but you're just going to have to repeat whatever you did in the router here. So I'm just going to go and type line, console, 0, password. We chose class, login. Let's go ahead and do Vtys, Vtys04. Password class, login, exit. Oh, I can do input, what was it? Input, transport. transport SSH. Let's try to remember here. What did I do? I typed transport. Yep, input SSH. So I got this part. Log in. Let me exit now. So I got those passwords done. I got this SSH done. Let me go back to the table really fast to see, make sure that no DNS admin, I believe it was. No. No IP domain. Nope. Lookup. Then after that, we're going to set the admin name. So IP admin. IP domain, sorry. Name. KCC dot CIST117.edu. Did I misspell it? IP domain. Yep. Looks like I missed. Oh yeah, I see what's going on. We got that part covered now. We need to set the username and password. So username, we'll go admin. Password, CIST117. Now we need to do the key generation. So crypto, again, key, generate, RSA, general key module, and then 1024, and I got that part covered. I believe this is mostly everything I need to do about the switch. Now, of course, whatever I did for switch 1 need to be done on the other switch. Let me just go ahead. Oh, service. Configure terminal service. Password encryption, just make sure. Now exit, show, running, configuration. Here it is, password, host name, S1, encrypted, username, interfaces, VLAN, default gateway, console, V2I. Yep, everything's okay. Now whatever I did in switch 1, I need to go ahead and do it in switch 2, which is again really, really easy. Now, the last part I'm going to do here is, and remember here, you need to actually, I told you guys there is a slide about show commands, which I want you to go and master. You'll be asked about those show commands. So the last part I'm going to do, I am going to try to have access to this switch, switch 1, from PC 1. And to do that, I can go here to this command prompt, and I'm going to type the following. I'm going to come here and type SSH-L admin, and I'm going to put the IP address of the VLAN 1. Now the VLAN 1 address, if you remember, I typed it here. I'm going to go back to the table. It's 192.168.200. And then the address was 30. And now he asked me about the password. Now the password, I believe it was CIST117. Nope. Class. Yep, class. It worked. Now if I type enable Cisco. And you can see here, I was able to configure switch 1 using a computer that's not connected directly to it. And that's the SSH communication. Okay, so for this video not to be longer than this, I'm going to stop at this point. And what I'm going to say here, whatever I did today is basically what you're going to have to do in the exam. Remember here, whatever you're going to be applying to one of the routers is going to have to be applied to the switch 1 and switch 2. And then after that, you're going to have to give a test for Ipv4 and Ipv6. One thing I forgot to do is to test the Ipv6 connection. So I'm going to come here and do that here. So ping the Ipv6 address of the other computer. Let me just copy it. And here we go. It worked. And if I want to do the same thing, I can come here to this device. Let me exit. And then ping. This time I have to change this to be BA instead of A. Instead of B, I'll make it A. And I was able to communicate with that device as well. So I'm going to stop at this point. This must summarize what the skill exam is going to be all about. I know it's not easy. I'll just tell you that. And now you do have, as I said, 4 hours to get this done. Feel free to have a piece of paper with all the commands and everything in it. And you can use it whenever it comes to working on your skill exam. So I am going to stop at this point. Thank you for watching. This is going to be useless if you don't try to get it done by yourself. So I'll see you guys later.